I can't think of a good code open, so just let's go! Hey, you're watching Contentless content. My name is Layla, and today's topic is a little bit odd because not a lot of people are talking about these junior categories, especially at this low level. So the question is, are junior categories too much, or are there too many of them? Why am I asking this question? My main reason is that there are a lot of lower category drivers, especially in Formula 4, who will probably not make it into Formula Regional or Formula 3, and there are a lot of Formula 2 and Formula 3 drivers who not make it to Formula 1, and even those who achieve higher results in the standings don't make it to Formula 1. One example here is Felipe Dragovic, who, despite winning the Formula 2 championship, will probably not become a Formula 1 driver, and he became a test driver for Aston Martin. Or another example is Nick de Vries, who won the Formula 2 championship, but went on to Formula E, and then from then he got into Formula 1. But let's not talk about this. Let's talk about the fact that there are hundreds of junior categories and thousands of drivers who aspire to be Formula 1 drivers, but only 20 will make it in a year. So now there are a lot more junior categories than there was in the past. In the past, it was like quite easy because motorsport wasn't that competitive as it today. But what's in it now? There is obviously the Formula 2 Championship, the Formula 3 International Championship. Then there's 4 Formula Regional Championship. Each of them races Formula 3 cars. So it's basically a Formula 3 Regional Championship. And there are 16 Formula 4 Championships. And these are only the main ones. But it's still a lot, right? Considering that in the past years there were on average like 2 or maybe 3 places in Formula 1 opening up, it's not a lot of places. Someone could think that, okay, those spots are reserved for the first, second, and third finishers in the Formula 3 Championship, but a lot of rookies come from outside, for example, Formula E or IndyCar or other categories, or even a reserve driver position. Driver academies make matters even worse. And why is this? Because, for example, if you're a Red Bull Driver Academy driver, then you can get a seat at Ferrari or Mercedes or at their ally teams. A good example for this is 2021, when Oscar Piastri didn't get a seat at Alpine because the team was already full. Or even worse, if you're not in a driver academy, teams just don't care about you. For example, Felipe Dragovic, who, even though he won the Formula 2, none of the team showed special interest in him, and only Aston Martin signed him as a reserve driver. Also, to step back to Formula 4, it's always a question about how competitive these series are, because it's a known fact that you can basically buy a seat in Formula 4 if you have enough points in karting. And also, does this make it important to win a Formula 4 championship? Obviously, it looks really great, it looks really good, but it's more of a learning curve in Formula 4 that you need to handle a single-seater car stepping up from karting. Closely related to winning championship is winning as a rookie important? So we saw Felipe Drugovich win his F2 title in his third year, we saw Mick Schumacher win his title in his second year, and we saw Oscar Piastri win his title in his first year. And one of them got a seat a year later, one of them got a seat right after, and one of them didn't get a seat for the moment. Going even more early in the career of a driver, we can also take go-karting, and obviously it matters a lot from where you come from. Go-kart teams are already a thing in Italy, Germany, or France, these countries with big motorsport history, and there are very few or not even go-kart teams or big go-kart championship in countries where motorsport is not that big of a thing. For example, Norway or Hungary or Balkan countries, or even countries outside of Europe. So I think what will be important is to give everyone a chance, but how can we do it if there are no go-karting teams, but there are already Formula 4 championship forming in these external countries? For example, there will be a Formula 4 championship in Hungary. In Hungary, where there's a go-kart track that haven't been finished since 5 years. Also, most of the time, talent is defined at like a very, very young age. For example, a lot of drivers nowadays get their seat in a driver academy when they are still in go-kart. So what happens if you get into Formula 4 but you're not in a driver academy? You shouldn't panic, but stepping into Formula 4 and Formula 2, it's more of a risky business. I would like to add that not everyone wants to get into Formula One. I mean, it would be the dream, but Marcus Armstrong said that the feeling of Formula 2 is obviously a great feeling after all. And I mean, I would be lucky to race in Formula 4 or even Formula 3. I mean, I couldn't. I'm afraid of speed, but going further in this driver academy thing, I think it's an important question that are Formula One teams defined by their driver academy and the success of their driver academy. So Red Bull obviously have like a very big driver academy with a lot of drivers signed, but none of them could step into Formula One this year, but there were 5 of them only in Formula 2. I'm not saying that Red Bull isn't a successful team. They won the team championship, they won the drivers championships, and they are living their best life right now. And I don't remember a time where Red Bull wasn't a winning car. Ferrari and Mercedes, I can say the same about them. They are pretty big driver academies. Ferrari, I mean, there was already a video about Ferrari Driver Academy, but it's really closer to my heart, and it's the first academy that signed women drivers. I believe that is success. The Alpine Academy got very popular after the Oscar Piastri incident, and they have a few trainees, but they announced after they lost the case to McLaren that they will be resigning as a driver academy because they don't want this drama anymore, which I think is pretty dramatic. McLaren is also on the edge of retiring. They only have one trainee who is in Formula 4 with Prema, and they don't look forward to signing anyone else at the moment. Sauber, which is known as Alfa Romeo, they have 4 driver academy members, 2 of them in Gokart. It's a pretty great academy, but it's pretty strange to me that they didn't rename the academy after they renamed the team. So it's almost like they are not functioning together. And the last is Williams, who signed pretty great drivers, but I can't see any championship potential, which is basically perfect for their team. No offense. So from this tendency, we can kind of see what kind of drivers the teams are looking for, and if they are looking for drivers. Obviously, teams like Haas or Aston Martin announced that they will have a driver academy. So Haas or Aston Martin doesn't have a driver academy, which isn't surprising since Haas's team principal said that they don't want to sign any rookies and they don't want anything to do with rookies. And Aston Martin basically signs Lance Stroll and a world champion. Looking forward to see Max Verstappen there with Lance Stroll. So these driver academies are obviously very much needed. They help these trainees get better with simulators, training camps. They are helping them get better in basically everything. Also, usually these driver academies help the drivers get into better Formula 3 or Formula 2 teams. So we can see the academy drivers in Prema, ART Grand Prix, High Tech, etc. And also the surprise MP Motorsports, who will be recruiting Dennis Hauger this year, and another driver who we don't know yet. So what I'm saying with this is that these lower Formula categories are basically fights between the academy members and there are everyone else. But in conclusion, I think that we need these Formula 4 or Formula 3 championships because they help spot talents, they help those who are talented to learn how to drive in traffic with a lot of people around, and also to overtake. It can be a good learning opportunity. Also, the fact that there are this many championships shows that there is a great interest in racing, which I'm obviously happy for. And even if it can appear a lot, It's something that is necessary to get all of the drivers a chance to compete in Formula One. And basically, I like watching these categories too. Like, I was at Formula Regina races, which were pretty interesting because there are just so many cars, they have to organize two qualifying for them, and everything is happening really quickly, and there are a lot more action than in Formula One. So, if I can say something, even if you don't want to watch like every Formula 4 category, which is basically impossible, at least you can watch Formula 2 and Formula 3 because they are pretty interesting and they show us the future stars of Formula 1. So thank you for watching, like and subscribe. Bye!
Mikor megírtam az első rímem, térés idő elferdült, hangom 2000 éve Betlehemben felcsendült. Mindenki kihallotta, ott helyben megkergült, s a három királyok agyba tolták a gandzsát. Első soromat a cikiüknek a